live. Hey, everybody, it's Mike, and guess who's on the phone? Sir?
Hi, everybody. This is Charles Woods. Peace and blessings.
Okay, and we're just trying to make sure you can hear everybody. Can you give us a shout out? Hey, who's on? Who's on? I see RWP and Kiara are there. I'm just gonna say, can you hear us? And we'll jump right in. Yeah, so wow. Okay, and I got a new poster back there. I don't know if you can see that, Charles. I had it framed a while ago, but I've been
that's my man.
Huh?
Hollywood Shuffle.
Hollywood Shuffle, yeah. And
yeah, I remember when he was promoting that, I interviewed him, and I told him, I said, man, you made a sneaky little message film, and you got a kick out of that.
Yeah, no, Robert Townsend's the best, and he has a documentary for those who aren't aware, The Making of the Five Heartbeats, and he was actually screening it around independently made film. A lot of his home movies, I think we talked about it before, but he was screening it in New York and LA to be eligible for the Oscars, and unfortunately, he was not nominated. But this year was a very, very good year for Black filmmakers as far as the Oscars go. Hey, all right, so we got a lot of people. Let's do the shout outs. Charles, I'll shout out who's on right now. We got Greg Hay, Davion Blakes, Sheila Coleman, Brother Malik, Quentin Johnson, and Chris Spearman saying hi, and about 28 more people on board who haven't chimed in yet. And I know we've been reading a lot of the comments. I know, Charles, you have a few folks you want to be cool with, right? Whoa.
Well, yeah. First and foremost, I want to send my love and my prayers are for our sweetheart, Miss Kim, Sassy Mama.
Yeah.
And I just pray with every fiber in my body that she's not doing well, that she's got some health issues. I'm dealing with mine, but I want her to know we love her and we are rooting for her.
Yeah, Sassy Mama, Miss Kim, and I know she usually tunes in late. She's one of the first people to comment most of the time because I'm up late, and you actually folks are in for a treat. I can't render it now, but if you get up first thing in the morning, I'll announce it because there's not many people watching. But somebody had suggested we've been putting up some older TV things thanks to you, Charles, and we did recently the Richard Pryor biography, and somebody said, do you have Eddie Murphy? And happened to be in storage, and guess what? We found a copy of Eddie Murphy biography, and it's a great special. It's 90 minutes, and Eddie narrates it basically. Exclusive interview with Eddie Murphy, and Martin Lawrence is in it. Clips from all the films leading up from the beginning to Dreamgirls. I think it's a great special. So that'll be something you guys can watch tomorrow beginning. But
and one other shout out to someone who even came out to see us, meet with us live. I haven't heard from her in quite a while. I just hope everything is going well with her. We love her. That's Kendra.
Oh, Kendra. Oh, yeah. We met her and her boyfriend in New York when we did the meetup. I guess we're due for another meetup. I'm traveling. I'm mad because this time last week I was running around actually on my way to Sundance and making plans for this year, basically. And, one of the things in my mind was, hey, we need to get out on the road and talk to people and communicate and find out who they are, because I want to be making films that speak to an audience that I know will support them. And, as it turns, I'll be in Dallas, Texas at the Denton Film Festival this weekend, beginning tomorrow. So if you're in Dallas, please come support 1:30 in the afternoon on Saturday. I'll be screening Black Film Now and having a discussion. And then in February, I'll be at the Black Bottom Film Festival. And all these, we're supposed to be you and me going out on the road, me listening to your puns and smelling your farts. And unfortunately, you begged off of both those trips, man. So I'm not happy about that. So,
the best time to fart is in the car because you want to keep the car gassed up.
Oh God. See, this is what I get when you're in the car with Charles, or you're sharing a hotel room with Charles. You have to be ready for the unexpected pun. So we're all right, all aboard. We got 32 people in the room, lots of people shouting us out. So you want to get into it. Thanks for acting indoctrinated and not giving respect to African Americans.
I just want to say, someone just made a comment that they loved the Voodoo movie. It was said it was super dope. That's enriching.
Yeah, there's a couple scenes in that thing that are mind blowing. The way
But as I told you, bless you, Mike, for the fact that I know a lot of times you get depressed sometimes when you get some negative commentary, but overall, we have a wonderful viewing family. We're building a relationship. No matter what my opinion is, I learned so much. We have some smart ass viewers. They know their stuff, and they're hungry. And to learn anything in this world, you have to be hungry. You just can't have a worldview and not continue to try to evolve. But I just want to applaud you for the legacy you built with this channel. And when you see comments where people say this is like the Smithsonian on YouTube, and even the comment we had from Sassy Mama where she's saying, when you compare what's on YouTube, the Oasis is always one of the few channels you can go to as an oasis of a wealth of diverse information. Mike, is what you've done with Real Black Star.
I appreciate that, and thank you, Charles. Wouldn't be the same channel without your involvement, of course. So yeah, and Rich and Bill Monger, I'll be in Dallas. I'm traveling tomorrow. My event is Saturday at 1:30 at the Denton Black Film Festival, and I'll type that in, Denton Black Film Festival. So, how much has changed in a year? I guess the stance is the same. I mean, Charles and I were talking earlier today, and it's sort of how do we encourage people to continue to push forward and making great films in this climate that speak to us as an audience, that are enriching. And for me, it begins with motive and intention. And then I got into an argument. I think I was telling you, Charles, with Bill. We had a great day, actually. Look for the interview. We interviewed Richard Roundtree this afternoon, along with Aldous Hodge, who are in What Men Want. So we were afterwards, we were talking, and he's like, man, you're trying to be a social justice warrior for these films. It's just entertainment. And I'm like, it's never just entertainment. There's always a subtle force behind it. And it always it comes from your subconscious. It taps into your subconscious, and it affects the way that we think about ourselves and the way we behave towards one another. So I just always believe in social responsibility. And yeah, I got the trifecta here behind me. I got Hollywood Shuffle, Cooley High, and then you'll see back there, She's Gotta Have It, the Japanese, signed by Spike. So those are the things I keep around me to inspire me. But I mean, what are your thoughts? I don't want to monopolize this conversation. Just want to throw some thoughts out there for you.
No. In my research for the book that I'm working on a number of projects. The Color of Jesus, technology and cinema. But as far as movies is concerned, as we discussed earlier, when we're on the phone and it's just the two of us, I go off, I go crazy.
Well, sometimes I think you do that. You're devil's advocate. You just want to get it out of your system. You just, conspiracy brother pops up. But anyway.
But the whole thing is, as people have to realize that, this, what they think is just entertainment. Mm-hmm. It's not just entertainment. Film is a way of conveying a message. It used to be more blatant years ago. It used to be more blatant anti-Black messaging in film. It's changed over the years because demographically, you just can't hit on blacks the way you used to and get away with it. But the thing is, film is about maintaining the status quo. Motion pictures, as much as we want to demand that motion pictures represent us in a respectful, honest, authentic way, this is not our culture. Once we realize that and know that this is not our culture, and that the people who control this culture, the elite, that white elite power, elite class, they want to make sure that the messaging that gets out there's not going to be anything that's going to be countercultural, or it's going to bring anything to look disfavorably on this exploitative system of capitalism. And blacks, they don't give a damn about blacks. And the images we get of blacks are images that maintain black passivity and acceptance with the system as it is, maintains the status quo. That's it in a nutshell. If you go into the movies to expect to see some powerful black themes, forget about it. If you want those kind of movies, black folk need to shut the hell up, go in their pocket, and make their own kind of movies. And if they want those movies to be pure, undilated truth, they have to realize to put that kind of message out there, they have to make movies about, for, and to please black folk. Because motion pictures, for the most part, it's a risk-averse business. They're going to do one thing. They're going to put out what I call proven commodities, movies that are going to make money and not say anything negative about the system.
Right.
And the films that continuously get produced, in my book, I say they're proven, Proven. The P is the same old themes and tropes that get P, produced, R, recycled, O, okayed, V, validated, E, endorsed, and N, nominated. Because they say what the mainstream cinema wants them to say, that black folk have to be a certain kind of passive individual. That's in a nutshell.
So let's do that again, the anagram. P is produced, R is recycled. I'm just typing it in.
O is okay. V is validated. E is endorsed. And N is nominated.
Oh, I misspelled. Hang on, I'm bad. Validated.
Mm-hmm.
And then after validated, I'm typing.
That's the V.
Yeah, what's
Proven? P is
endorsed, and then nominated.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess with that in mind, let's jump into these nominees this year. Now, unprecedented year for Black filmmakers and films with Black primary stories and casts being nominated for the Oscars. I was saying at the beginning of 2018, the release of Black Panther represented a sea change because it was one of the first movies that dispelled the myth that Black films with Black casts, I shouldn't say Black film with Black casts, could not be marketed overseas. And Ryan Coogler and Marvel, they found that perfect recipe. Of course, 3 months later, they killed everybody off, but that's another story for another day. But Black Panther's got some nominations. Spike Lee's got some nominations. I'll go through the list according to Shadow and Act, just to bring people up to date. And I'll put the link for the Shadow and Act nominations there. So if you're on your computer, you can read along, because I'm only human, Charles. And other people can read too. I'm not trying to be authority. So Black Panther, the first superhero film to get Best Picture nom. Spike Lee gets first director nod. So you have just the headline on it is the nominees for the 91st Academy Awards were announced Monday morning by Tracy Ellis Ross and Kumail Nanjiani. Well, that's a statement right there to have those two. Black Panther and Black Klansman picked up Best Picture nominations, while Regina King was nominated for Best Supporting Actress for If Beale Street Could Talk, and Mahershala Ali, you see he's been in so many movies, I can pronounce his name right, for Green Book was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Although I always thought he was the lead, they've been doing it that way the whole festival run. He's supporting, and Viggo Mortensen's been getting the nomination for Best Actor. Spike Lee was also nominated for Best Director and Best Adapted Screenplay. This is his first time being nominated for Best Director and Best Picture. Overall, Black Panther picked up 7 nominations, including Hannah Belkler for Best Production Design. She's the first Black person ever to be nominated, and Ruth E. Carter for Best Costume Design. That's the only Oscar I care about. She walks home without an Oscar this year, I'm going to be very, very upset because she's put in work. If Beale Street Could Talk was snubbed for Best Picture, along with his director, Barry Jenkins, but Jenkins did pick up a Best Adapted Screenplay nomination. So that's 2 times in a row Barry Jenkins has been nominated for screenplay. He won for Moonlight for screenplay. Documentaries Hale County This Morning, This Evening, which was at Sundance last year, and it's produced by Danny Glover. Very, very beautiful film. Was nominated for documentary as long as Minding the Gap. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse from co-director and producer Peter Ramsey was nominated for Best Animated Feature. So I've been working a freelance job. I haven't gotten around to posting our reviews on some of these films, but what is your reaction, Charles, to this list of nominees?
Well, as I told you before, these are some what I call the oil slicks. And what do I mean by oil slick? There's an old saying: the squeaking door gets the oil. Blacks have been complaining, "Oh, Oscar's so white, Oscar's so white." Look what happened as a consequence of that complaint. You get all of a sudden you get the attempt to make up for what people are complaining about. Right. So we're getting these films, and a lot of them, that relatively speaking, if we're talking about good filmmaking, Black Klansman, Spike Lee, I think Spike Lee will probably, if he's going to get an Oscar, this will be the time, mark my words, this will be the time they'll give him some kind of an Oscar, a legitimate Oscar where it's not honorary.
Yes.
Just for his body of work. But the thing is, Black Klansman was a joke, in my opinion. Okay, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I was disappointed, and well, we talked about it, and that I'll post that up before Oscar time. They still don't have an Oscar host, to my knowledge. I'm waiting to hear who's going to host this thing, but yeah, that is one thing. In Entertainment Weekly, they interviewed Spike, and he said his nomination is a direct result of the Oscar So White hashtag and also the increase in the diversity within the voting members that came as a result of that hashtag movement. So he said in 1989, the diversity was not there for Do the Right Thing to win, and he's excited, and it constitutes change as far as he's concerned. But co-signing on what you say and have always said, which is Black film is always reactionary. It's never proactive.
It's reactionary. It's tokenism. It's okay. Let's quiet the natives down. They'll give us something for a little while. Then you go a few years where it's back to normal. Because, for example, the industry is predominantly white men. Okay. And people are going to look for themselves in any artistic piece. Where am I? Where am I in this? And I'm gonna tell you something. Truth be told, when I was doing this a long time ago, and I had my ears to a lot of the people on the inside. Okay. When they do these films, they get the first audience reaction on certain things. Okay, when you had, for example, Black Panther. Remember when that came out, and then they were speaking to Chinese people watching it,
Yeah.
and the Chinese said, too black, too black,
too
too
many
black.
black people. Yes, yeah.
Okay. When they wanted to do black romance on the screen, directors had issues with. Lou Gossett speaks about this. He said he had a kissing scene and he was embarrassed, humiliated when they came up and said, "We're having issues." And he said, "What kind of issues?" Well, we're not used to photographing thick black lips and stuff like that. You know, that's pretty much what was said in a nutshell.
Yeah, it scars him to this day. There's a great documentary out now called Hal, about Hal Ashby, and they talk to Louis Gossett, and he's very kind in it, but he points out that moment. He said, like, look, we have to reshoot these scenes. The camera, the lens is not used to your faces being so close, or some way they coded it, but they felt very uncomfortable seeing two black people kiss. So yeah.
And that's why with the standard of beauty being what it is in this Eurocentric society, that's why you very rarely get in romantic roles dark black women. That's why you always have the light-skinned actress. And truth be told, many of the black actors who appear in these films, when it comes time to having a co-star, they don't want to even appear with a very dark actress. Okay? And I've had this told to me by black actors.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay? So and you take someone like Yaphet Kotto. Yaphet Kotto, back in the day, he was one of your top black actors. He was well respected as a thespian from that perspective, being able to act. He wasn't like a lot of these blaxploitation stars, athletes who became action stars. Yaphet Kotto was the man acting wise.
Yes.
He did a film, Report to the Commissioner. They wanted to have his character do a TV show. But here's the thing, when we put on a lot of these TV shows from the 80s, the 70s, I wanted you, and we had a discussion, I want the family, if they're not familiar with these shows, to see them where they can have an empirical frame of reference to see just how the imaging was. How did blacks appear in Kojak? How was Gail Fisher's role in Mannix? When they did the Shaft on TV was not Shaft as he was in the movies. You couldn't have that black sexuality, that dynamism. But the thing is, Yaphet Kotto, they could not translate to the small screen, because the small screen, the white people, and they're not going to watch that, because they say, I don't want to see no black man, no dark black man on TV. That's why the Hawk, when that came on, remember the Hawk?
Man Called Hawk, Avery Brooks.
Avery Brooks. That boy was too black, too bad, and it didn't last long. That's the same thing that happened with when we did a thing on The Outcast.
Yeah.
My man was too black for TV. So the whole thing is, go ahead.
I was just gonna.
They water us down. They dilute us. Blackness is something that is feared in this country.
Right. So that leads to the other factor in terms of this epic showing for the Oscars, reactionary, but also there are more outlets. It's a bigger playing field. And I think as there's more inclusion. Two factors I'm concerned with. One, I didn't think 2018 was very strong for theatrical film. It seems like so many people that are really trying to express themselves artistically are fed up with Hollywood, and the better work is coming from those disruptors, the people like the Netflixes that are just putting money out to fund people's dream projects, and you end up with Aroma, or even the year before, they picked up Mudbound, which is a film that if it was left to box office figures, I don't think it would have done very well. But the fact that Netflix made them whole with with just an acquisition, gives people that really want to put art out without the consequence of trying to please everybody a platform or forum for this. So, but so there's more of a need for content across the board. So there's more slots open for um, black film. There's no quota system in place per se, as there may have been 20, 30, 40 years ago, where not only did you have to make money to stay in the game, you also they only had room for a certain number of slots. One of the things that just off the top of my head, one of the things that Nelson George talks about, the previous time we've seen this wave was in the early 90s. And it was a similar factor involved where um, Sundance, which we're going to talk about in a minute, had opened up this whole lane for independent American film. And at the same time, the burgeoning home video industry was in a position where they could literally finance low budget independent American film and basically either give it a small theatrical release or send it straight to video. So if you talk about Steven Soderbergh, who has done all the Oceans movies, Oceans 11 and all that stuff, and has had a tremendous career, his breakthrough movie was Sex, Lies, and Videotape, which is one of the films that people feel kicked the door open for that wave of film that Miramax came to brand. And if you're interested, there's a book called Spike, Mike's, Slackers, and Dykes that chronicles all that stuff. And that's the Harvey Weinstein era. Now we're in another phase where the lane has been opened through these disruptors that are Netflix, or the idea that technology allows you don't have to shoot on film. You can make movies cheaply. Blumhouse, which put out Get Out, they have a business pattern where they don't spend more than a certain amount, $5 or $10 million to make a film, but they will spend a fortune to market the films, and they get the actors cheap up front because they give them a lot of profit participation. So these things that are disrupting the current system are also factors that are allowing for increased participation with Black folks, or as the industry would say, diversity. We're seeing a lot more diversity in 2018, and I guess we're the symbolized in the success of the Oscars and the number of films at Sundance this year.
Well, that's just the formula of the micro versus the macro.
Yes.
On a micro level, you're going to have diversity. You're going to have niche marketing. But the thing is, on the macro level, it's got to be formulaic. It's got to fit certain things. The thing is, my problem is that we look for white validation, and as I said before, the proven commodities, as far as mainstream cinema is concerned, is depicting Black as pimps, prostitutes. You have Black matriarchy, where you have the popular image of Black men versus Black women, and I told you I wanted to do a thing called Willie Lynch Goes to Hollywood, where the key things that Willie Lynch speaks about is that this system, to maintain the status quo, you have to make sure that you have a constant system where it's always going to be a division, so that you can conquer. You can conquer the people who are divided. If you see all these films coming out, like Loving, The Mountain Between Us, they're quick to make a film where there's a Black and white loving relationship, but so rarely do we get Black men, Black women loving relationships. And that's all part of the game.
Well, explain to folks the golden rule. What is the golden rule, Charles, and how has it affected some of the images, not going all the way back to the 70s, but like in the last 5 years? What patterns are you seeing in relation to that?
Well, the thing is,
explain the golden rule first before you jump in.
Well, the golden rule, if we're talking about as Melvin's so popular to see, Melvin's people, he who pays the piper calls the tune.
Yeah, he who has the gold makes the rules.
Yeah, and you know, so the thing is, see, we get caught up in trying to be like Whitey. You see, and when we go idealistically with our scripts, and we got this ideological thing I want to present this authentic black image. And the guy look at you like, yeah, I like this, but you know what's wrong with it? Well, this character's too strong. And where's the white guy? Where's the white man? Huh? The white man. Mario Van Peebles will tell you what the problems he had with Posse. Okay. Danny Glover, when he wanted to do something, he had his script, and they said, "Where's the white man? Where's the white man?"
Mm-hmm.
So the whole thing is, when you spoke to Baba Dick and you asked him about the Miles Davis film, right?
He asked me, but anyway, yeah.
What did he say? Where does white guy come from?
Yeah.
When Forrest Whitaker got the Academy Award for The Last King of Scotland, right? Where'd that white guy come from?
Yeah. Well, that's always a question for me. If like if you're talking just a few dollars difference, even like if Don Cheadle, his argument, folks, was that he tried 7 years to get the Miles Davis movie made. He had the permission of the estate, but he could not get financing unless he incorporated a white British character into the story. So the whole story took on a fictional level, things that never happened. It became a pure fantasy, like a fever dream about Miles Davis, as opposed to a legitimate biopic. And I guess by way of correction, the Birth of a Cool, Stanley Nelson's documentary, is going to be at Sundance this year. He was at Sundance last year with the film about the HBCUs, and now he's got another film that's I assume going to be on PBS called Birth of the Cool. It's the PBS anointed Miles Davis documentary. So by way of correction, we get that, but
yeah. So it's what I call binary fusion. It's the dilution solution. We have to have that binary working, because that's how we're going to make the film reach a broader audience, give it more of an appeal to a broader audience. Yeah. This industry is risk averse, and you take when they did The Spook Who Sat by the Door.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I spoke to the director, Ivan Dixon, and I remember I was at an event. And I said, I've been doing very well with Spook Who Sat by the Door. He said, what? It's on video? He didn't know it was even on video. I had one guy who bought like 100 copies from me, okay? Yeah. But the thing is, when they tried to raise money to make that film, mm-hmm. they couldn't get a dime from rich black folks.
Yeah.
So, this is what peeves me off. We are our own worst enemies. We cry. We touched on that when we did the Oscars for White.
So yeah. So the reason why I'm traveling, I think even if it's just a few people, it's another thing that needs to be recognized is in the past the myth was that people weren't qualified, they weren't trained. It was always a big struggle, even from the earliest days when Melvin Van Peebles directed Watermelon Man, or even Piece of the Action. It was a big task just for these filmmakers to find money in the budget to set up training programs. And I think Melvin has a story where he's saying, "Look, I'm not going to work unless you bring some black people on the set. I'm going to shut this whole thing down." And when Columbia realized they were going to lose money, the next day he shows up and they have lots of black people standing around, so you still need apprenticeship, you still need training ground. I count myself as fortunate. I came in at a time when I was in film school. I interned among the best. I interned at the Black Filmmaker Foundation. I interned at Broadway Video and when Saturday Night Live was going on, and I also interned at the Black Filmmaker Foundation. So that is, maybe why I feel a greater sense of social responsibility when it comes to getting these movies out. But I don't expect everybody to carry that burden. But traveling, I just think it's important to say that this is nothing new, and that these are some of the factors involved in getting to where we are now, but also the mass number of people that are getting these opportunities. The other factors, they are trained. They've been waiting for this door to open literally for decades. We have not seen this embarrassment of riches or opportunities in a long time, and certainly not directed towards people that have experience behind the scenes. And also the fact that you don't have to, as Ava DuVernay say, wait for permission. You don't have to make a short sample and hope somebody will come in and finance your dream. You can go off with some friends and make a web series, and if it catches on, you get a deal with HBO like Issa Rae, or so I think that type of energy is encouraging everybody, and I'm not trying to discourage any of that. I just look at Charles. I just look at Hollywood like that. That girl you had a crush on in high school, and then she calls you up 30 years later, and she wants to go out. You know, it's sort of like that Eartha Kitt and Boomerang. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's like, if I'd met Eartha Kitt in 1956, I've been, yeah, let's get down, let's have a baby. But by the time Eddie Murphy gets to her in Boomerang, and it's just like, really, do I have to do this? Who else has been up in here? Hard Out Here for a Pimp got one of these. All these other things. Not to say that it taints it. It's just, I guess maybe I don't handle rejection well enough to even see that as a primary goal personally. But if I'm in high school and my 4-year crush says, "Hey, come on, let's go out, let's go to the prom," then I'm right there. So it's a level of perspective, and I think I think what people appreciate about you is that you have decades of you've invested decades in understanding and learning and knowing the history of these things.
Well, what I try to do, Mike, as I told you before, I try to research and come up with empirical proof, the documentation, the support for what I'm saying. I don't want to just come out and say Hollywood is racist and not be able to support that.
Right.
I unequivocally make no bones about it that Hollywood is racist.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Brown told me Hollywood was racist. And then the next time we're talking to Jim Brown, he's saying something different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had when I did the thing with the Black American. Okay, we had this guy almost threw one of our reporters out the window. That's how angry he got because he didn't like the questions he was being asked.
Wow.
Okay. I ran into Steve James and we came out from watching a movie years ago. One of the movies. He was in 42nd Street back in the day when you had all the movie theaters on 40 Deuce, the 40 Deuce. And coming out of the movie, who do we see? Steve James. Wonderful, beautiful.
Steve James, Kung Fu Joe from I'm Gonna Get You Sucker.
Joe. Yeah. But you know what? I'm with my wife and I said to him, I love you, Steve, but you're making a bunch of BS movies. They are BSing you. You coming off like a damn clown. I told him that.
Yeah.
All right. And I didn't say it with any rancor. I didn't say it disrespectfully.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, yeah, I know. It's the best I can do. And the thing is, he cooperated with the system. He was promised a film with Steve Furstenberg. He was used to do the films with Steve. And when Steve Furstenberg was going to finally give him his own film, I showed the guys when I had the box, the store, 43rd Film. I said, look at the cover artwork for this video cover. Who do you think is the star of this movie? They had this big picture of a white guy, and you had Steve James, a little image of him on the box.
Yeah. So, those are the battles that everybody's been fighting. And what was beautiful about today, Charles, I mean, I had a chance to interview Aldous Hodge. For those tuning in late, Aldous Hodge and Richard Roundtree were in town today. They were part of What Men Want. And it was a nice conversation. You see the intergenerations of these two men. And it was also very telling because when we finished, I don't know how the sound, I haven't looked at the footage yet. The mics were off, but Richard Roundtree was saying that when he did Shaft in Africa, he had a chance to meet Haile Selassie and what power he had and what the experience was like, and how Haile gave him his blessing. And then Aldous said, well, how old were you when you did Shaft in Africa? He said, I was 29. And then you can see Aldous doing the math, like, I'm 32. Wow, And Aldous has clearly had more opportunities to work, and not only work, but say no to work than Richard Roundtree has had in his whole career. And I think that's another advantage of where we are now, is that the people don't have to say yes all the time to things that may be damaging. But it also leads to the question why, or again, Hollywood Shuffle, why is still somebody out there willing to do some of this stuff? So, without challenging.
Well, I told you the whole problem with being an actor, especially a black actor, you're out in front. Acting means you're out in front. That's the most powerful medium on the face of the earth. Okay? As Lennon said, of all the arts, the most important is the cinema. A lot of blacks compete for the images. But I said, if they're going to take heat for the images, then let's make sure we spread our complaints, our negative criticism around. Ebony Magazine, that's supposed to be our magazine, speaking about our contributions and our achievements, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't call yourself Ebony and keep you going, keep your magazine going, because the lifeblood of a newspaper or a magazine is what? Advertising. And in your advertising, you got skin lighteners and hair straighteners. They kiss my butt. How black are you?
Well,
so the same way you're taking money to promote this anti-black nonsense, you're doing it to survive, then what difference is that from black actors doing a lot of times things that maybe people have criticism about, but they're doing it for survival?
Okay, well, put this on your slate and film number 3 when we get these documentaries together. Put this, the self-hate that hate produced, and you just scour through all the magazines and images that have that still to this day kind of.
Well, I'm gonna have it. I'm gonna have it in the book.
Have
it's
that.
Gonna be in the book.
Okay, that duality of what our standard of beauty is, and the reality is we're gonna move forward in a second, but I think it's very difficult in this world, the way language operates and the yin and the yang. It's very difficult to escape the binary, and when you get labeled or you allow people to label you a certain thing, it becomes very difficult for you to shake that. So a lot of people, they'll say, well, I just want to make film. I just want people to see us as humanity, but it still seems like, at this level, we're still like trying to demonstrate dignity. Like if Beale Street Could Talk to me was just like trying to show how dignified we can be in the circumstance and under very difficult circumstances, but
yeah, what?
Go ahead.
Right quick, Mike, as I told you before, getting back, we get the same crap recycled over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Moonlight, best picture of the year. Mahershala Ali, what does he get an award for?
Playing a surrogate father.
Come on, he was a drug dealer.
I know. I'm just
okay. He was a damn drug dealer, and Moonlight was about dysfunction and pathology. All right, that's what we get. As Ishmael Reed said, black pathology is big business for the world, for Hollywood.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and that's so. My issue is that with all the great stuff, Denzel's gotten more Academy Award nominations than any other black actor on the face of the world. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's at least 6. But the thing is, what's he getting Oscar nominated for?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's he winning Oscars for? Okay. Training Day. A rogue, dysfunctional cop. Okay. Halle Berry. That's the most embarrassing thing. It had the right title, Monsters Ball, because the monsters had a ball making that nonsense.
Yeah, it's a very disgusting film.
Okay, and I told you, when Sheila Fraser, when they want to have retrospectives, Sheila Fraser to this day, when they go to show the bathtub scene, okay, I had a guilty pleasure. I loved it. But now she's someone, okay, she did that thing. It's embarrassing for her. And Stacey Dash, her conservatism, I guess, I think they try to hide illegal and blue. But you tell me how many black actresses will have a love scene with a black man the way Halle Berry and Stacey Dash had with white men. They won't do it. They won't show it. When Lawrence Fishburne had a love scene with this white actress, he has his clothes on. There's no skin-to-skin touching. Come on. Yeah. They do these things, and the whole thing is, you want to get in a movie and you take any role. Angela Bassett even complained about the role. Then she had to walk it back because they didn't want to look like it was player hating.
Mm-hmm.
Call it what it is.
Yeah, well, I'm happy for everybody. I want everybody to win. It is very seductive. I don't. It's a lure. This Hollywood thing. What frustrates me is how much. Not that we depend on it, but how much we give our talent away to these things that we know are not going to be reciprocal, and to this day, it's what I say, as Bill Duke says, a pimp hoe game. So, you don't want people to know exactly what your budget was or whatever, because they will literally give you a lot of people. They want the power is in terms of working the deal out and taking advantage of people. So, and that's where you see the corruption that is being exposed with the Weinsteins and different things. It's less about, it's like, I know I can control you in this way. So, I'm very optimistic. I'm happy everybody is getting opportunities. I just hope that the motive and an objective was to tell good stories and help people that look like them understand themselves better in the world, as opposed to just getting a bigger swimming pool. That's a difficulty that I have, but that remains to be seen. The list of nominees for films that are going to be showing at Sundance, I'll paste in here, but we have 2 people with Philly connections screening this weekend. Sundance starts tonight with the premiere of Native Son, which is an updated version of the Richard Wright film, and the script is by Suzanne Laurie Parks. There's, I think, 40 other films, and then there's presentations there. Oprah's doing things, and Jada Pinkett's doing a fireside chat. I think this might be Jada's first time at Sundance. Maybe she was there last year. So the train is moving, and I'm happy. Chinoya Chukwu, and then Jatoya, oh gosh, I want to say Jatovia Gary. Jatovia Gary is from Philly. I've never met her, but she's worked through the lab. She has a film called Sela and the Spades, which is premiering at Sundance as well. So those are 2 people from Philly, but the whole list of films are there. Things to check out on your radar. But I just want to address. Okay, somebody's going nuts on this chat thing. is this Tourette's? You don't have to put it in once. We can see it. We see you. We're just talking. Um, so let's take a second just to go through some of these things, and then we'll jump into Trump. Is that okay, Charles?
We jump into what?
The Trump, the economic shutdown. That's our other topic. But yeah, I think it seems like everybody's in agreement with what you're saying. Again, my
in a nutshell, all I'm saying is I'm tired of black victimhood, white victors, black zeros, white heroes. We need to change that paradigm, and we need to stop making films to please everybody. We need to make films and make sure we at least please us, be about us.
Yeah.
Once we determine that we want our cinema to be about us, right quick, Richard Wesley, back in the day when they had black theater, powerful black theater, you had Ed Bowles, Richard Wesley. The first time I saw Morgan Freeman, me and my brother saw him in The Mighty Gents. He played Zeke.
Yes.
He overwhelmed the whole audience. He was spellbound. Okay? What a characterization, what acting. And we never got that on screen. I think the closest thing he came to that was when he played the pimp.
Yeah. Street
okay,
Smart.
Street Smart, right? But the whole thing is that blackness is not going to get it. It scares Whitey. It scares him. I told you I want to do a black falling down, brother. And you saw how angry Ivan Dixon was. He said he gets so angry because I don't care. I'm Vietnam vet, PTSD. But every black man and woman in America is suffering PTSD. And now you can you can go to Trump.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm in agreement with you. I'm cautiously optimistic about what's happening, and my concern is having studied, been around the block, witnessed things, talked to so many hundreds of different filmmakers, and knowing all their stories and spending time with people, I just see I want us to feel like we're moving ahead, but when I see everybody running in the same direction, it worries me a little bit. It's almost like, didn't we get enough of slavery? When are we going to operate from a system of survival where we incorporate our own resources and support one another? And I don't know if it's possible. I've yet to see it. So, that would be a great experiment for me, as opposed to, like you're saying, recycling the same stories just to make something that will generate income for somebody and they maintain the copyright. I mean, I know so many broke rappers, people that have been hustled but through the music game. When I start to see it happening in the film game, it worries me a little bit. So, but at the same time, my intention is for this channel is to amplify our voice and bring people along. So we'll see how that works out. But
the images are dangerous.
Oh, very much so.
They're dangerous. Lerone Bennett said, "Image sees, image feels, image acts." And if you don't have the IQ to realize that the imaging that you're getting is implicitly coded to be anti-black, to be pro-white, then you'll be forever lost, and you'll be a part of this system forever. You're captive.
Yeah, somebody you said anti-black. Somebody commented on the Gina Rodriguez thing. I saw the tweets and I chose to ignore them.
What's that?
She plays Jane the Virgin, and she went on Sway and said something like, he said, like she had to defend herself about accusations that she's anti-black. She's made comments in the past where I think, it has as much to do with black people as it does Gina Rodriguez. Gina Rodriguez, I don't think she ever claimed to be black. Why? She's got to defend her point of view, being raised in this white supremacist system where Latinas, especially light-skinned Latinas.
She got a film coming out.
I
Is it?
I don't know why I didn't see. I wasn't following, but I mean, like it's goes. If I think if you want to address it, and people can chime in more, you can. I would just call it colorism. She's being put in a position where she's Latina, but she's got to speak and defend for Black people. It doesn't make sense to me, but apparently she said things on Twitter. Or, I just don't have enough information to feel any kind of way about it, other than it doesn't surprise me, and I'm kind of tired of the social media game in terms of trying to make everybody have to defend statements and not learn and grow. So, um, you
You
know,
got Miss Bala. Miss Bala's coming out.
okay, so she's on the tour. I don't know. I mean, if
Yeah.
people want to speak on that, I have no opinion.
Well, the whole thing I told you earlier. I call these. You see all these blacks now. All of a sudden, you can't complain. Oscar's so white. It says Oscar's so black now. You had the Golden Globes. You had Mahershala win, and my baby won. Regina King. But the thing is, the movie going audience, the people who see more films than anybody else are Latinos.
Yeah, what's changing?
Okay, and they have the less representation. Lower than them is Asian. Okay, so the thing is there's tribalism that comes in, and nationalism comes in. If you say, well, shit, if anyone should complain from a representational perspective, it should be Latinos. So when they give you Gina Rodriguez, they're saying, okay, we got to have some Latin. Okay,
yeah, well,
because that's our they make up a big demographic. But you get foot and mouth disease from a lot of these actors. When I told you Gloria Hendry back in the day, when black was in blaxploitation, you had a lot of white actors hated that crap. They hated taking secondary roles to black actors because the whole system was upside down for a little while. Okay?
Right.
And not until things went back to normal were they happy again. Okay? You got everyone feeling the same heat because that profession is no joke.
Yeah.
Very few people make it in that profession. And some people think Mahershala Ali just came on the scene. That boy he's been in the business for a long time.
Yeah, I think he's on AARP next month. He's gonna make the cover. A lot of folks is fronting on their age. Like I said, people been standing by that door for a long time.
Because remember, Chiwetel Ejiofor was in everything a little while ago. You don't even see him or hear about him anymore.
Well, he's directed a film. It's gonna be at Sundance this weekend. I mean, folks are still in the mix. I'm not. I just I don't jump in on this Twitter social media crap because it's just like ye without sin cast the first stone is how I look at it.
Clickbait and all that kind of stuff.
And look, they can sure enough accuse me of being anti-black anytime they feel like it. I get, like I said, niggas make me sick sometimes, man. I'm.
But it kills me. You can see how many people will follow what's happening with R. Kelly, now Chris Brown.
Yeah.
Millions and millions of views. All this is
diverting your attention.
That's distraction, and it's got nothing to do with what is really destroying the fabric of America and devastating communities of color. And people don't even say, well, he always says communities of people of color.
Yeah, and it's fair game. I mean, if you go back to the Paul Mooney, black on black crime is tolerated. We as long as we're throwing stones at each other, it doesn't mean a thing. We can kill each other all day long and we'll not get any attention. It's just a distraction.
Well, there's a strong chance. I told you Spike is going to get something, but Black Panther may end up getting Best Picture.
That'd be good. I mean, I think the Oscars are in trouble also because nobody's watching them. Very few people even see the damn movies that are nominated, and when they spread it out to 10, it makes it very difficult for the real movie lovers to get to see everything. So it might be a coup to give to the popular vote this time, you know what I mean, as opposed to like what they feel is art. So that I have no, I just don't think, I feel like we're in expansion league time right now. I just think the fact that all these movies exist at one time, and town is spread out. It's just like when they add more teams to the NBA or the NFL or something. For a while it's going to suck, and then ultimately, it gets better, or at least we get accustomed to the new normal of things. So that's what I feel we're in the midst of. I don't anticipate it going away, but it definitely is in waves. And what we're experiencing now is a result of all the backlash. It has less to do with what we wanted, but the fact that there was a reaction from the industry to include more of us because of protest. And but the thing to be cautious of in terms of this, the door is going to stay open as long as Trump is in and people are being accused of being racist. It's a good time to be black, y'all. Because you can assert yourself and people will tolerate it. But that term diversity is also very tricky because you may think it's talking about you, but the minute you're not making money for these people or you become a difficult presence in their midst, they'll find somebody else to give that crown to. So, and I think that's a xenophobia.
Blacks are only up there to promote the illusion of inclusion.
Right.
That's the dilution solution.
Yeah. So
everything's all right because when you see most of these films, right, it's promoting amalgamation, assimilation, integration. Right. The world, I loved Green Book. I loved it.
Yeah, it was great. I liked it too, but we got huge backlash.
It's about relationships, black and white relationships. That the people who really victimize and violently make black lives like they don't matter are just some crazy white folks.
Yeah.
So, the complaints about Green Book is that it's a feel-good movie. It's to make white people feel good because, white fragility just can't take the guilt.
Yeah. Well,
that's why Paul Mooney was never a big star because he reached the point where he said, I don't give a damn how if they like what I got to say, I'm going to say what's on my mind, say how I feel.
Yeah, well, it's a difficult thing, when and we've seen it before. I mean, if you cross those tracks, you have to bring some people back with you because I just remember I just think like we were showing a lot of stuff in the '90s, the FUBU, For Us, By Us. There's a lot of Black pride at the time, and there's certain people that their intention was to cross over, and Will Smith, he escaped it. He transformed himself. But I think about MC Hammer, he lost a lot of credibility playing up to a certain illusion. So in terms of just knowing what this is about, you also notice the pattern that it's new faces that Hollywood is looking for. They're not, in terms of recycling, they may recycle your idea, but it's very few people that have the power of reinvention. Like if you stayed in the game and you're a veteran, like Spike Lee is basically like the 20-year player on the team, who's like a Tim Duncan or something. He's just been around so long that you forget he's even there sometimes, until he scores a point. And then, but what a lot of Hollywood is looking for is new faces that they can promote, or people that can deliver things cheaply, as an entry level that they can get it. The first film, second film, Sorry to Bother You, those are not expensive films. They introduce new faces, but the difficulty is if you've had your shot, it's difficult to get back in the league, and there are a lot of people that are very, very good, experienced filmmakers, and like the Rusty Cundieff, how long did it take for Tales from the Hood 2 to come out? He's just been operating in television. How many people from 10, 15, 20 years ago would be great to come back? I mean, I'll give Ava DuVernay a lot of credit because she's hired a lot of women directors from, Ayorka Chinzera and Demaine Davis, people that made successful independent films 20 years ago. She's getting them directing credits on Queen Sugar, but for the most part, that's not what's happening. We're not getting our elders to co-star in films. We're not looking back at like you said, Ed Bullen's plays. We're still in this endeavor to reinvent the wheel and feel like we're some sort of fresh face. But anyway, you're going to say no. Let's do Trump in a minute.
Well, yeah, well, James Harper, he just said, we've come a long way from old black movies. Yes, we have. There has been progress, but the thing is, what they do is they surreptitiously change the look of something, but they don't change the integral part of something. In other words, for example, they'll love to give us a numinous character like Uncle Tom, a spiritual, go along, God will save me type black. He saves the little white girl, little Eva. Okay? Well, the updated version is Denzel Washington, and quite a few of some of the more recent films with Denzel Washington, he's a neo Uncle Tom. Yeah. Truth be told.
Well, that leads into my how many times does Will Smith need to play a genie? He played one in Hitch. He played one in Bagger Vance. Now he's literally a live action. He's a genie, live action genie in the Aladdin movie that's coming out. So I mean, at what point is there enough money we can stop recycling these tropes, or is it something that we don't know? It's part of our psyche that we've come to accept Will Smith in a certain type of role. We've come to accept Denzel Washington in a certain type of role. Like it's automatic box office to see Denzel with a gun. You know what I mean?
Well, no. The thing is, like I say, it's formulaic. Hollywood is formulaic. They're going to go with something because they're risk averse. That's tried and true. Okay. If you see a film, if it's new, it's based on a best-selling book. They gotta have the go-in is that we're dealing with something that is a proven success. Now we just got to translate it to screen and hope that it has the success it was when it was literary. Okay, as it was on the stage, as it was on TV. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, Denzel, the one thing that's in his favor is that the guy is a powerful actor, and more, he's working with a black director. They're getting things done. The zeitgeist has changed. The context of the times has changed. That means a lot. So he does Equalizer, yeah. and he's Uncle Tom because he's saving a white girl. But you hear very little about Equalizer 2, which I love the relationship he had with the actor who played in Moonlight. And finally, he's helping a black out, a black boy. And there's some relationship there. Because usually what happens is when we talk, you brought up Will Smith, blacks, when they're in films, for the most part, I call them Lone Rangers. They're solitary black. They're exceptional black, exceptional in the sense that you don't see other blacks. You just see some relationship where you have this magical Negro who helps to become an agent of transcendence for a white character. Mm-hmm. But it's not all the other blacks. Maybe your savage blacks or blacks who didn't make it. But here's this exceptional black who you just love. We can take one at a time, one or two at a time. That's what's implicit in these films.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'm just looking up something. It just depends on what level you want to take things, I guess is what it is. But if you examine things the way you do, I appreciate it. You start to see patterns. At this stage in the game, I just want I don't want to add to the dumbing down of the society. I want people to empower. The only way you can change things is from the inside, internally. You can't do it symbolically. So somebody's got to climb into the belly of the beast and attempt to change things. It's a very difficult thing to do, when because there are rules to that game and there's a system in place. And my argument has always been, and you can go through all of time, there's always been people, we should have our own system. We should operate from a position of power. If somebody gets cast out of Hollywood, their whole career shouldn't be over. We should be able to bring them back into the fold where they can continue to get work. But I don't necessarily know if we're at that point yet.
In closing, Mike, on this subject,
mhm.
to accent my point, who is the most beloved Black actor on the screen?
Beloved. I don't know. Family. Well, this is a good chance for you to type in who you think it is, because he's never asked me this. So I don't know the answer. Well, ask the question again, Charles, and see who is
the most beloved Black actor on the screen?
Black actor on the screen. All right, let's see what people are saying here. Everybody's got all the Twitter fingers disappeared now. I'm gonna guess Will Smith.
Nope.
All right. Anybody else? Bueller. Beloved. Tyler Perry comes in. Taraji Henson. Denzel. Beloved. Kimberly Elise. Oprah Winfrey. They were beloved.
Who did I tell you Denzel Washington was in terms of what he represents on the screen, but in a more masculine, dynamic, Black power way?
Oh, well, Poitier.
Sidney Poitier.
Okay.
When Sidney Poitier came on the scene, No Way Out, 1950, context of the time was that you had Jim Crow society, you had the hatred towards Blacks was more vehemently exposed. But the thing is, they saw the power of that screen and what the presentation of a dignified Black man, what it could do to change the hearts of men. Margaret Mead, the anthropologist, the one who debated James Baldwin. 1962, she said television could change society.
Yes.
Okay? They know the power of that screen. They know it.
Yeah.
And they use it not to change the world, but to keep it circumscribed. Okay? Sidney Poitier was the most powerful Black man on that screen. And at 1967, he was #1 box office. Okay? The thing is this. Sidney came on and he was powerful. He was dynamic. They call him a super state. But the thing is, what I want you to realize is what I'm saying is this. When Sidney gained more power, he did a film called Buck and the Preacher.
Yeah, he and Harry Belafonte.
Harry.
And
okay?
Ruby Dee.
That film didn't make any money.
He
directed, that was Sidney's first directorial. He took over the helm. Somebody else was doing it. They didn't like how he did it. Buck and the Preacher didn't do well. He did a film, Lost Man, where he's attempting to change his image. That didn't do well. Brother John, beautiful film. When we were in the theater and he put a hurting on this racist white cop, we loved it.
Right.
The scene of this little Black boy who just saw his father humiliated, and Brother John puts a whip ass on this white cop. We loved it. And this was Sidney, like we never saw him before. But when you think about Sidney's career, what kind of films did he end up making?
Well, he was the magical sort
comedy.
At the end
Comedy
of his career, the Which Way Is Up
yes.
and the Stir Crazies and things like that.
Uptown Saturday Night, Let's Do It Again, comedy. Okay? And he says himself, when we felt it was time to make America laugh again. But see, what I'm saying is, when you go outside of the bounds, when you come, you know how they always say, "Oh, you getting uppity."
Mm-hmm.
When he became uppity, they didn't like him.
Oh,
Same
they
thing
pulled
with
back.
Eddie Murphy, when Eddie Murphy became uppity in Harlem Nights, they didn't like him.
Yeah, you guys are gonna love this. If you haven't seen the Eddie Murphy
Stick to the
biography.
script, Eddie. Do what we want you to do. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm loving this Eddie Murphy biography piece that's gonna post in the morning, and then before I leave, I'm gonna work on getting that the other tape that you had, the John Henrik Clark, and who's the woman that wrote the book that in the video that I was telling you that I was transcribing for you. It was a panel. So you got family. You'll love this. It's a panel discussion from 1996 with John Henrik Clark. It's 3 or 4 different people with different perspectives on the origins of religion and Black folks and African stuff. Not from out of Africa. It was the other person that was on the panel.
The white lady?
Yeah, she's on there. Forget her name.
Oh, that was
Lefkowitz.
Mary Lefkowitz.
Yeah. So that'll be a fun one. It's long. It's like 3 hours, guys.
She's on that?
It's a panel. It's like her and another guy who was putting all the weight on.
Oh, that's what you get. That's a debate. That's been on. That's been
it's floating around. It's floating around. Well, your copy's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I know you had some strong feelings about. We're moving on about this whole economic shutdown and what does it mean? Why is it happening? Who is it really affecting? And how much longer are we going to be having to deal with this nonsense? So I'll as by way of introduction, the floor is yours, Charles. Trump economic.
I'm not going to say much on this criminal that we have in the White House, this modern day Caesar. The thing is, as Malcolm X said, you've been bamboozled. You had white women vote for this monster. They cut the nose off to fight their case. You had a lot of Black people thought he was going to drain the swamp. Well, if he drained it, he only filled it up with what is more worth than what was in it already. That this guy is a crook. Birds of a feather flock together. His day is coming where he's going to have to resign. If he doesn't resign, he's going to have to learn how to walk for a little while with his hands locked behind his back. This guy is sick, he's narcissistic, and he's a beast. And when he did this shutdown, he said he would take the blame for it, and all of a sudden now, he and his punk ass Republican enablers, Mitch McConnell, thank God, Paul Ryan, that punk is not there anymore. That was the biggest punk that ever called himself a Speaker of the House, because if he said anything, it didn't amount to much. Paul Ryan was a punk, didn't accomplish anything. And, he thought he would come on with Mitt Romney and be as the vice president, then run for president. All of their days are numbered. Well, and Mitch McConnell, this guy has to go down too. This guy is destroying this country. You got people who are crying in this damn shutout. There's no need for it. And people may lose their homes. They can't drive into work. The air traffic controllers are saying we can't have people directing air traffic, and they're distressed, or maybe they're going out to
TSA,
pick up some Uber money. Okay?
Yeah.
Because they have restrictions. These people are supposed to have plenty of rest and whatnot like that. But this fool, president is supposed to be the president of the United States, not the president of a few crazy people and some redneck pundits like uh, oh man, I'm just
Yeah. Well,
what's his name?
go ahead.
The radio guy,
Rush Limbaugh.
Miss
Rush.
Lumbo, and that I can't stand it. What's her name? The girl, the skinny leg host.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry, Paul, but that's what she is.
Well, well, the truth is where you find it, and however it's resonating for people, I believe it to be true. But there's a lot of theories as to why. So what do you think the stronger factor is in terms of this destabilization of?
He doesn't care who he hurts so long as he's got a distraction. He wants everything to be on this distraction he's created. It's a monstrous distraction because he knows all the talk will be about the fact that now you got Pelosi and she's the Speaker of the House and they got subpoena power and they're going to ask for what's going on. Mueller's taking too long to come down with his stuff. But hey.
Well, ultimately, we all lose by being divided like this, by starving people out. Like we were talking earlier, I'm looking at this thing in Venezuela, and I'm reading the tweets, and it's I don't know what Maduro was doing, but clearly either he was refusing American support or we were literally starving him out. I mean, but I see the same type of tyranny that was going on in Venezuela, and now the immigration, the exodus, people, over 3 million people have left Venezuela in the last 5 years, and it's affecting all the other South American countries. So now they've packed it to oust this guy. And so when you look at what's going on in the United States, who does this really benefit? Is he the supreme narcissist who just wants attention? Is he trying to destabilize the economy to the point where the white supremacists, the white nationalists will be able to incite some sort of race riot, which has been something that's been talked about for the last 20, 30 years, that there's going to be total anarchy in the United States? Or is it something that Russia is trying to do? I mean, who does this really benefit? The fact that this country is going down the sewer, and our commander in chief is basically got his foot on the gas.
He's a narcissistic punk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he used bone spurs to stay out of the army. All right, he finally went over to visit the troops, but he was afraid to go over there. He was scared to death to go over there. Okay, but he'll do things reluctantly if it'll work to his favor. But he's a punk, and when you call a bully and a punk out, you find out that they're nothing. Mm-hmm. Okay, Pelosi, this thing she did, she humiliated him. He couldn't even come up with a nickname for it. Nancy. She has the prerogative. No, he thought he was going to tell Nancy, you can't tell me I can't have a State of the Union address in the House. Well, yes, I'm telling you. Okay, there's co-equal branches of government. There's Mitch McConnell and that son of a gun. God forbid anything happens to RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, because he'll be ready to help Trump put another Supreme Court justice in there. And see, this is where these people who vote, you got to know who you're voting for, what their platform is. Jen, I don't want to hear, like I say, one is just as good as the other. Tell me how you can justify that perspective. If you're a woman, you tell me how you can justify that perspective. If the Supreme Court can say, okay, Roe versus Wade is no longer legal, and you got enough conservative judges to go that way, and as I said, Clarence Thomas does not sit on the Supreme Court. He sits on Judge Roberts' lap.
Well, again, as I said a few minutes ago, like the change has to be internal. we went to one of Baba Dick's last shows was right the day before the presidential election, and his whole thing was the lesser of two evils is still evil, and whatever happens is meant to happen. Now this was stolen, in my opinion, and the evidence seems to bear it. But maybe we have to experience this kind of pain in order to really affect change. That's what my hope is, but I'm also seeing that the division is even more. Like there's so many, I've never seen so many fingers being pointed left and right and distractions. People, it's a form of psychosis, not even post-traumatic stress. We're experiencing things that we so quickly we don't even know how to process them, So, you know, can this end well? That's the question.
How are you gonna have good people in government if you don't have smart people in the electorate?
Okay.
Civic duty is to know what the hell is going on. People have platforms, they have history, they have agendas. And if they don't do the job, you don't let them get in there and create gerrymandered districts and all this kind of stuff. You notice these suckers, they never come up with a thing where we're going to give ourselves term limits.
Mm-hmm.
And the same rascals keep getting in because the public has been dumbed down
well, also the amount of money being spent on these elections is ridiculous. How much does it cost to run for office?
That's a Supreme Court decision. Were you going to say a company is a human being? Come on. And you kill the union? All that, and you're going to say that there's voter fraud?
Mm-hmm.
All that is in play because they know the people that don't give a damn about you, they study how we getting beat. We're not winning on progressive ideas. Our conservatism is lousy. It's garbage. It's only about protecting us. But we can't win. First of all, a lot of people forget Trump did not win the plurality of the vote.
Right.
Despite how much people hated Hillary, she still had more votes than he did. This electoral college has been outdated a long time ago. That was to protect slave states.
So
for a long time, white women couldn't vote, and that was to protect single white men because they felt married white men would have more power. It's all a game. As for someone to say one is a lesser evil, yeah, that may be, but that's too facile. That's not being civic minded. The people who control who's in office are the people.
Yeah, well, ultimately, it's another level of giving away your power to say it doesn't matter.
Just give
me chocolate or vanilla. I don't care. Give me Coke or Pepsi. Know what's in your food. Know what it's about. So I mean, but everybody's hurting right now, and maybe it'll make people wiser. But I think people are conditioned to feel good. These algorithms have us all triggered, to react as opposed to think, So that's why I appreciate you sharing your.
Why we can't get health care for everyone?
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with a living wage? What's wrong with education system that works for everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how you can't come up with an architectural plan where you can make all communities thrive, medical systems that work for everyone. You look at what they call the indices, and blacks are still at the bottom rung of what impacts people mentally and physically.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing changed there.
Yeah. Well,
you just want to get up there and say, "Oh, they're not going to do anything against me because I've done such great work. Look at the unemployment." You got in there with whether people like Obama or not. He helped set the course right. This guy didn't get in with a plummeting economy. He came in with a strong economy.
Yeah. Well, then all roads point to racism. Because
no, it's not just racism.
Okay.
It's elitism and classism.
Okay. But how do you get the core people to vote? They're not among the elite, but you rely on them to vote against your best interests. It's a form of programming, it's propaganda, it's what information you're exposed to, it's what you choose to believe. And a lot of it is not about classism. I can assure you that.
What I'm saying as far as classism is this. Um, if you're thinking you're just hurting black folk, well, you go look at how many white folk are being impacted by this. How many white folks are on welfare?
Well,
How many white people?
more than there are black folks on welfare. The
You know,
population is more
but the whole
people
thing
who
is
call themselves white.
if you promote an ideology that we're going to make America great, and what that is codifying, we're going to make America white again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the whole thing is that when you talk about building a wall, when Pelosi says immoral, what they're saying that the whole idea of a wall is you want to stop integration. Well, shit, if anybody should have a wall up, it should have been the Native Americans.
Well, what with the guy you saw, the protester, the white Catholic high school kids with the MAGA hats, they drew attention to him, and he said, when before the white man came, we didn't have we didn't have a wall, we didn't have even a word in our language for prison. This is all
Well,
stuff.
they helped these motherfucking pilgrims. That's why you talk about the story of Thanksgiving. Was that cursed?
He cursed a lot of times already, Charles. I don't know why he's stopping now.
Man, forgive me.
He's been throwing F-bombs all night.
A lot of people think the African slaves came over here and didn't have some remnants of his culture. Mm-hmm. A lot of the African slaves showed these white folk here how to grow food on the land, how to deal with cows. There's a whole bunch of history we don't get. But the whole thing is, this Trump, he just came out. You talking about this Catholic kid with the Native American and Trump spoke out on this. He said that the press overreacted. I saw on Joy-Ann Reid's show. That's the first time I saw and heard anything about this. They were talking the Native American who was beating the drum. Mm-hmm. He said we had some issues. There were some black Israelites that were there causing a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the other thing is the way a Confederate flag is something that can upset people. Well, these MAGA hats.
Oh, so it's intentionally there to trigger, for sure. At that march, for them all to be dressed that way, they're regardless of what they said or didn't say, the image was a certain way, and they certainly felt a power by being that uniform, standing in front of that man. And but I think what this whole
what, Mike, right quick. Mm-hmm. What it's saying is how these that's white privilege. How these kids felt. You could see it in that kid's face.
Yeah.
And they're trying to cover that up. But that's the same thing. You tell me what kind of people call themselves Christians, and they're in KKK outfits, and they got their kids, little kids, young kids, watching a black be lynched.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's the whole book of those images.
Society has the audacity. There was a cover of either Time or Newsweek where they had on the cover one of these little kids who they wanted to say was a future adult terrorist because it's from one of these Iranian countries or Iraq. And they're throwing bombs and stuff like that. And they want to say, look how they're being trained so young. They forget their history. That's what I'm saying. This is what we don't get. That's why it was so refreshing to get a Hidden Colors, a story that was different from all the proven commodities. That's what I liked about Green Book. It was okay. It has its issues. But here we learned about a black man not many people knew about, an intelligent black man who had to school a white man, an ignorant white man, and civilize him.
Yeah.
See, the whole thing is we have to learn how to be in charge of our own history.
Yeah.
And we have to, not just us, but America, for it to survive, to be what it claims it is. People have to know true history, not his story, not his vision, where he tells a vision that promotes just him and his contribution. And he whitewashes it where he doesn't give you the flaws. But when he gives us our story, supposedly, it's never authentic and genuine, and it's full of flaws. Most of the films we talked about, just using that as an anecdote, most of the films we get, it's about flawed black men and women.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they give us a biopic, it's someone saying, well, the only way we can sell it, you gotta amp up the drama. You gotta make them victims. You gotta show they're on drugs, dysfunctional, and how do you overcome that? You see what I'm saying?
Well, that's Hollywood.
That's not our only story.
That's Hollywood Shuffle. And how long ago was that? That was 1987, 86, something like that. So we're talking 30 years, and it's still, people climbing into that belly of the beast. I want to believe that it's beyond representation, but it just hurts.
Yeah, and how
it just hurts.
It's all about us getting a bad deal.
it just hurts to know that it really has so little to do with the system that's in place. It's that we give away so much of our energy to it when it could be, we could be creating things for us. How much time was spent talking about this R. Kelly documentary, and it's made for a major corporation, black filmmakers or whatever, but it's still, again, black on black crime. And we talk about that all day long. What else do we talk about all day long? If we put that same kind of attention into, hey, did you know Robert Townsend made a documentary about the making of 5 Heartbeats? He could make his money back instantly selling the film himself, and maybe that's something that would be more informative. But
and when he did 5 Heartbeats, right?
Yeah.
It's formulaic once again. I mean, it's a great story.
Yeah. Well,
but the thing, we can let you do it because it's about entertainers. And the entertainers who, the flaws is the dysfunction among the entertainers.
Well, you're ready to burst into another realm now, aren't you? I'm one of the things I said before we go, I said, and maybe this might turn into a story. I don't, but I'll just share it with you because it's going to take some work to figure out. So what really, one of the game changers for black film was the invention of the flat screen TV, and when I guess in the early 2000s. Everybody had cable, but they got rid of the rabbit ear antennas. Charles, you remember that? Like you had to get rid of your rabbit ears, and people were like mad because now they either had to buy cable or they had to get these flat antennas that would allow them to pick up the digital signal, right? Mm-hmm. So on one side, you have the conspiracy theorists that were saying, well, like the Alex Joneses of the world, they'd be like, well, the reason they want to get rid of your rabbit ears, they don't want you to see the analog signal because that's where the aliens are going to be transmitting, and they don't want you to have access to those frequencies, right? So that's on one side. But what if, since the beginning of time, we had all these black channels that we currently have now, right? But we just couldn't access them on the remote because we were all analog, and now we're digital. Like, what can you imagine, Charles, if in 1936 there was a Josephine Baker sitcom on channel 186 or some shit like that, but we just never knew it existed. It was just there, but we couldn't access it, or Amos and Andy, it got canceled from CBS, but channel 953 picked it up and it ran for another 20 years. We just never knew about it. That alternative universe. What do you think of that?
Well,
Well, we have to create our own alternative universes.
I remember when we used to go to the movies and they said, vote against cable. What the hell are they talking about?
Yeah. So we'll see.
You know what?
But so
here's what you have to respect about the capitalist.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how to make capital. And with that capital, he knows how to keep things the way he wants it to be. We have to learn how to do the same thing. I mean, we've been here long enough. We had. I'm looking at, as I said, you got Michael Jordan and LeBron James,
mm-hmm.
and there's this back and forth argument: who's the greatest? Who's the greatest?
Well, Michael Jordan or LeBron James? Okay.
Michael Jordan is the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But the thing is, I love LeBron James because one thing he's greater than Michael Jordan is the fact he's not afraid to speak out on issues. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he speaks up when he needs to.
Yeah.
Although that King Kong image still bothers me. Go ahead.
Well, yeah.
But he learned from it. It's okay.
Yeah, but the thing is, and I hope they don't, when we talk about conspiracies, I hope they don't find nothing out on the board, because I keep seeing they keep trying to say you got some little love child here and there, stuff like that. But conspiracies, they're always going to find a way to bring down our sacred cows and stuff like that.
Right.
But the thing is, we need to be able to come together and do our own thing. I keep saying that we got enough money, man, we can have a black empire of our own. And we need to do it, because now the whole thing is the images that we get, they're injurious for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't have the IQ to see it. This mechanism, they're trying to hold on to power as long as they can because it's dwindling. They know it's dwindling. Here, these people are so smart. Like when we get back to Frances Cress Weldon, she's the one who put it out there. Yeah. You look at the paradigm, how they flip the script.
Yeah.
We don't call ourselves majority people. We call ourselves minority people. People of color. If you don't like that expression, just deal with it. People of color. There are more people of color on the face of the universe than people who are considered white.
Without question.
But who controls this world? That minority, that white minority. And the way they do it is through subterfuge and propaganda. Yeah. They know the art of it and they use it. It's a science. As I told you before, when we talk about weapons, we think about tanks. So they got the greatest weapons in the world, the think tank. They're outthinking us. They're playing chess to our check.
Yeah, somebody said that earlier in the chat. I mean, but the technology, it has the power to bring us closer or corrupt us more. So, Charles, I really appreciate your time. I have to pack. I really have to be out the door at 7:30 in the morning. And I still want to make sure you guys have videos to watch while I'm in flying. And please pray for the TSA agents and all the air traffic controllers, because I'm not fearful of travel, but I know these folks are not getting paid. So I expect McDonald's level service tomorrow at TSA. These people are probably tired of folks. But Charles,
are they paying the FBI, the people who protect Trump? Are they getting paid?
I don't know what's going on. I feel for it.
If they say, "Shoot, I'm not getting paid, I'm not going to do my job."
They won't jump in front of the bullet like that guy did for Reagan. Or buckwheat. Buckwheat has been shot. All right, so hang on. We got folks chiming in. Miss Gang Smashers is watching from Chicago.
Oh,
Doom Dog.
Miss Gang Smashers. You know what? I didn't forget it, but another shout and Happy New Year. We love her too.
Doom Dog Films in DC. I have to follow Doom Dog Films in the name. Stuart Wayne from New Orleans. All right, we beat y'all. but then you wait. Did we beat New Orleans? I forget. New Orleans beat us. No, we beat New Orleans, and then we got. I forget. Neither of us are in anymore. Good luck with New Orleans. Yeah, y'all beat us again. We should have beat you. That's what happened. I don't have my Eagles hat on. We should have beat you, and then we fucked up. Nick Foles threw a pick. All right, shout out to New Orleans, Rochester, New York. I have to give the names to Omari Mitchell, Rochester. Samuel Whitman, who's been chiming in all night, San Antonio, Texas. The Gray Man from Fort Lauderdale by way of New York City. He probably knows you, Charles. Cheyenne is in Atlanta. It's 12:25 on the East Coast right now. Baltimore, Omari, keeping everybody up late with your rants. Deidre's in Dallas. I'm going to be in Dallas on Saturday, Deidre.
Oh, you mean it's 12:25 already, Mike?
Yes, sir. It's Friday morning.
Man, you can talk. I'll tell you.
Well, we're 1 hour and 45. But we had 50 people in the room, so we did well. And the numbers probably most people watch for 10 minutes or so. So when we sign off, it'll be a few hundred folks in here, probably close to 300 people caught some of it. Samuel, who else before we let this go? But again, I'm happy for everybody. I want everybody to win, but I just think, again, we have to redefine what our concept of winning is. Because if it's a number, a figure, a monetary amount, and we'll do all that, just to fulfill our we're not giving back if it's just we're trying to make money off of this, and if you have $1 billion, I bet you I can find somebody who will kill your ass for $5, just to get the fame, So I don't, just strive for the right things and try to help one another. That's all I can say about this.
I want to reach out to the Black family and ask if there's anyone or a number of people care to tell us what they think the definition of what Black film is.
Oh yeah, well that's something we're trying to develop. Charles is working on his book. How would you define Black film? But for another day. I'm just saying, just to clarify, I'm not saying go kill billionaires. No, I'm saying that in the past, the society worked because the social contract actually functioned enough to say if you did A, B, and C, you could get to X, Y, and Z. And if you go through 9 years of school, there will be a job waiting for you. And that's not necessarily the case. However, the technology allows us to be able to dream bigger. Even though we may have been excluded from a lot of things as Black folks, the social contract was still working to a certain extent in terms of promoting a middle class lifestyle, value, things to aspire to. And that was what the government did. But the greed has come in, as well as the technology, and it's created opportunities for people to dream differently, and maybe it's not about trying to make everybody the same, but recognize the differences. So I think while the government, the Constitution, I would agree when Charles and Baba Dick says, you have to uphold the rule, in terms of like where you say all men is created equal, and if things aren't working, it's time for rebellion. That's unalienable rights. I also feel that the idea, in terms of the way we think of language, of being equal, takes away from what our real strength is, which is our uniqueness, and what our purpose may be in this lifetime, and what strength we have to offer to help this whole thing work. So I'm super excited about all my friends who have the opportunity to be in Salt Lake City. I'm very appreciative for the people at Denton that saw what we were doing and invited us out to screen in Denton. And I think, Charles, on a positive note, we've been seeing this thing grow for a long time, but now we're at a critical juncture where I just think that we have to eliminate the idea of this mediocrity and really work towards making some good stuff that's going to have lasting value, because the short-term game just doesn't seem to work when it comes to giving back images that respect us. But I'll give you the final word.
Well, with respect to film, if you want good film, you need good audiences. If you want good people to represent you in government, you need to be a good civic-minded citizen. You get what you deserve. That's the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
We have as what's the name said, the power is in our hand. The power is in our hand. And peace and blessings to the real Black family. I love you. Be well, be safe.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all for checking in with us. We were trying to do this every Thursday. We've been going back and forth, but I mean, Charles, you sound great, and let's see if we can get back on track. And I'm in the process of finishing my freelance job, so you'll start to see more original content, not just like replays of other people's content, but I'll get down to editing some of the stuff that we've been filming. And so look tomorrow for the Eddie Murphy biography, and then next week I'll be posting the thing that we did with Richard Roundtree. But if you want a taste of it, go to the Real Black Instagram page, and you'll see a lot of the stuff that you may have missed, or things that are cooking, brewing, so to speak. So all right. Family, thank you. To be continued, Charles. I have nothing more. I'm not as exhausted this time. I think this was a good chat. And I said, Samuel says he's going to be at the screening and he's going to get a taco. So again, if you're there, I don't know anything about Texas, so, and I'm sequestered. So it's a good time to make a friend. And Charles, we're blowing up. So you don't want to catch this. Like, if you're watching this video 5 years from now, you screwed yourself. You should have got here sooner, and then you could have been better friends with us. So, but anyway, you see how that goes, right, Charles?
Yeah.
I'm getting a free taco. That's all I know.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.